Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Reezy Scorecard. Today, we are looking at Muhammad Ali versus Ken Norton, their third fight, the rubber match. Yesterday, we looked at Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler, one of the more controversial fights. I ruled that one not a robbery. I scored that 9 rounds to 3, 117, 111 to Sugar Ray. This fight right here, obviously it happened at Yankee Stadium in 1976. This one is one that is also considered a robbery. Most pundits think that Norton should have got the decision, did more than enough. I have to agree with them here. I watched the fight. I scored it 9-6 for Norton, and I actually gave the 15th round to Ali, and most people gave that one to Norton, so it could have been a little more lopsided. I think the robbery might be a little harsh for this one. All of the rounds were close. I label them close, clear, extremely close. I only labeled 2 clear rounds for Norton. I didn't label a single clear round for Ali. So it was extremely close. Robbery might be a little harsh. Barney Smith and Harold Letterman both scored the fight 8 rounds to 7 for Ali. I think it's plausible, to get to that number without being corrupt. Obviously, Harold Letterman is, considered the gold standard for judging in that era. Arthur Mercante, the referee, his scorecard 8-6-1 for Ali. I think it's extremely uncharitable to only give Norton 6 rounds. And I could get more into this after we break down the individual rounds, but I don't like the idea of referees judging fights. There's just too much you have to look at as a referee. Luckily, in the United States, I don't think we still have referees judge fights. I know they still do it over in the UK. We'll talk more about that after I break down the individual rounds, but let's see. Let's get to it. Round 1. They come out, neither guy does a lot. I scored round 1 for Ali. I labeled it close. Like I said, it's a feeling out round. Neither of them do too much. Ali lands 3 or 4 good left hands. Neither of them are clean punching a lot. It's definitely a feeling out round, but after 1, 10-9 for Muhammad Ali. So round 2, I gave to Norton. I said this was a close round. But for the first half, he's hammering Ali. Huge right hands to the head. His straight right, almost, this is a theme for the fight. His straight right hand just cannot miss throughout the fight. When Ali's trying to tie him up, Norton's landing huge left hooks to the body. They're clearly getting through. Ali does even it a little late. He starts to feel the energy from the crowd. They're getting a little restless, so he does start throwing combinations, but it's really not enough. And I think that's the theme of the fight. It's not enough because Norton's putting the first half of these rounds in the bag. Ali flurries towards the end of the round, but usually he did convince me in the 15th, but usually it's just not enough for what Norton's doing early in the round. Round 3, I also give to Norton. And this is one where it should have and it could have been a Muhammad Ali round because he's carrying most of the round with his jab. But Norton starts getting in there. He starts throwing the overhand right. And honestly, he lands a couple of them in this round where it's, Ali does more of the work in this round. But Norton, a couple of those overhand rights are so heavy. And they're clearly the best punch of the round. And even a couple of them he lands in round 3, I think you could quantify as the best punch of the fight. And so I labeled it close, but it's another one I feel you have to give to Norton. So after 3, I have it 2-1 for Ken, the jawbreaker Norton. Round 4, another close one, and it's almost a mirror image of round 3. Ali's combinations are carrying the early part of the round, but Norton's just landing the huge overhand rights. And Ali, throughout the fight, he looks tired, he looks sluggish, but he's not throwing anything back that's getting Norton's attention, like the right hands that Norton's throwing that are certainly getting his attention. He's still clowning a little, he's still having fun, but almost nothing he throws in this round and really throughout the fight has any sting on it. So after 4, I have it 3-1 for Norton. I have every single round I've scored for either guy, I have them labeled as close, and that's going to change going into round 5 because I give this one to Norton clear. Ali just gives this round up. If you watch it, I'm sure you're watching it on YouTube. So you're probably seeing the same broadcasters I'm seeing. I'm sure there was only one American broadcast of this fight. So I'm sure everybody, unless you're watching it in a different language, you're seeing the same commentators I'm seeing. And they note this too, that Ali's giving up the whole round. One of their experts has it a 10-8 round, which that's too old school for me. I mean, he's basically punishing Ali for giving up the round, but it's not a 10-8 round. Ali does some decent stuff in the last 30 seconds, but he does give up almost the whole round on the ropes. And Norton's just hammering him. And a lot of them aren't getting through, but as the round progresses, some of those left hooks are getting to Ali's body. They're scoring shots. So that's the first clear round of the fight. And I have that one 10-9 for Norton. So to this point, 4-1, Ken Norton. Round 6, another clear Norton round. And this, I have a star next to it because I think this is the most interesting round of the fight. Norton comes out throwing combinations. He carries the round early. Then it's so frustrating, this fight, because you can see shades of really what Ali wants to do if he was a little younger, what he should have done. I don't know what his training camp was like for this fight. I've been watching the excellent PBS Ken Burns documentary about this fight. And apparently, his training wasn't quite what it should have been for a fight of this magnitude, slacking off a bit in training camp. And you could really see it in a round like this, because in the middle of the round, from about 2 minutes left to about 1 minute left, his jab is really neutralizing Norton. There's nothing Norton can do. And you see shades of this in the fight where Norton's confused by the jabs and he's confused by the movement. But at the end of the round, Norton just gets him to the ropes. And once he gets him to the ropes, Ali starts to sag. And he actually, he's getting hurt by the body shots. And this one, he gets completely doubled over by a Norton left hook to the body. You can see, it takes the win from Ali. He hunches over. It's definitely the most interesting round of the fight, just because I think it's a microcosm of what goes on the whole fight. But again, a clear round in Norton. So after 6, 5-1 for Ken. And then round 7, I give to Ali, but I label this one extremely close because Norton's still busy. He's still getting through with body shots. He's still the effective aggressor for virtually the whole round. But Ali's throwing combinations this round, and he's landing some, and he's landing a bunch of combinations to the head. And Ali, when he looks like Ali, his style is still a hell of a lot prettier than Ken Norton's. So when he's throwing these combinations to the head, they look good, they look flashy. And that's what got my attention more than Norton's body shots this round. Ali's combinations to the head. So I did score that one, round 7 for Ali, and I labeled it extremely close. But Norton comes out in round 8 and goes back to doing exactly what he needs to do. This one's a clear round. He wins it with a vicious body attack. Every time he gets Ali on the ropes, he's pummeling him with the left hooks to the body. And then once Ali drops the head, he's landing the overhand shots to Ali's head with the right hand. Ali's offense in this round is so frustrating because he's just so lazy and he's so sporadic. And you can attribute to that to him getting older. You can attribute that to maybe not as good training, but it's a theme of the fight. His offense is it's poor. I was going to say pathetic. You can't say anything Ali did in the ring is pathetic, but it's poor for large portions of this round, and Norton's just putting these in the bag early. So Ali is going to make a comeback on my scorecard later in the round. But right now, at this point, after 8, I have it 6-2 for Norton. And then coming out in round 9, it's an uneventful round. I give this one to Ali. I give it close, but it's another one where he's doing shades of what he really should have done the whole fight. And I think the 9th and the 15th are the clearest indicators of that. If the training was a little better, he probably could have beat Norton comprehensively. He's probably the better fighter than Ken Norton, even though Norton's style and the workload seems to be kind of Ali's kryptonite. But this is a round where Ali dances the whole round, and he throws the jab the whole round, and he's neutralizing everything Norton does this round until the end. And Norton gets through with a huge right hand. It's the best punch of the round for sure, but Ali's probably done enough in this round to take it. On my scorecard, he did. And if you don't, honestly, if you give this one to Norton, it's a little bit uncharitable, and it almost puts Ali out of the fight at this point. If you score this for Norton, there's almost no way Ali could get back in the fight, which obviously a judge shouldn't be paying attention to. But I do think Ali did just enough in this round. So at this point, I have it 6-3 for Ken Norton. Round 10, I scored Ali again. And this one is a little bit closer than round 9. It's not extremely close. It's a close round. His jab carries most of the round. When he's jabbing, there's not much Norton can do. When Ali's moving, when Ali's jabbing, there's not much Norton can do. Ken's having his best success when Ali sags in the ropes and he can just wail on the body. And so Ali carries around for the first 2 minutes. The last minute, Norton does get on the inside. He lands some great body shots, but it's just not enough to win the round because he gave up the early part to Ali. So at that point, it is evening up on my card. I have it 6-4 after 10 for Norton. So if it was a 10-round fight on my card, Norton would have already won 96-94. Round 11, this is the third round in a row I give to Ali. It's an extremely hard round to score because for the first time in the fight, Ali is the aggressor in this round. So it's kind of weird to see. And when you see them switch roles like that and you see Ali on the front foot coming forward, you almost want to give it to him right off the bat. He lands 3 great straight right hands in a row. And I think that's what wins the round for me, because especially the first one seems to not hurt Norton, but stun him, get his attention. Then Norton drops his hands and Ali lands about 2 more. And that seals it for me. He landed the 3 best punches of the round. The first straight right hand might have been the best punch of the fight to this point. But Norton's still landing every time he throws. So it's a close round. Ali gets it on my card, but every time Norton's on the inside, he's still landing. Every time he pushes him to the ropes, he's still landing. But that's another Ali round for me. And this is going to be the last round I give to Ali before the 15th. So round 12, I give to Norton. It's a close round. And it's 12, 13, 14. It's almost like a mirror image of each other because Norton's just landing vicious overhand rights. He's landing left hooks to the body. So he'll land the right that pushes Ali to the ropes. Then he's landing the left hooks to the body once Ali sags into the ropes and puts his guard up too high. Norton's getting in there, landing the left hooks to the body. Ali still has pride. He's firing back strong, especially towards the end of the round. He lands some great jabs. He lands some great straight right hands. But I can look at, and I'm looking at my notebook here, and I can look at 12. I can land at 13. I could look at 14. And there will be different parts of these rounds where Norton's ceding parts of the round to Ali through inactivity. Ali's combinations are still flashy, but Norton every time he's getting the straight right hand, he's pushing Ali to the ropes, and he's digging into Ali with the left hook to the body. So 12, 13, I have to Norton. I have him close. 14, I have to Norton, and I have it clear, all 10-9 rounds. So coming into the final round, I have it 9-5 for Ken Norton. So obviously on my card, Ali would have needed a knockout to win. He doesn't get a knockout. I scored this round for Ali, and it looks like most of the experts scored this round for Norton. It looks like the judges for the New York Daily News and the Philadelphia Inquirer and the London Daily Mirror that they have ringside scored round 15 for Norton. 2 of them scored it for Norton. 1 of them had it even. It's just that I don't feel comfortable giving this round to Norton. He clearly lands the best punches of the round, which in the last 30 seconds, he's coming on strong. He's landing the right hand, the overhand right, repeatedly. But Ali dictates the round with the jab. For the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds, he's making Norton miss. And you're not scoring when he's making Norton miss badly, but you have to note it that, I mean, there's moments in this round where Norton's swinging like an amateur and Ali's, making a miss by 4 or 5 feet. You have to note that. And then you combine that with him neutralizing Norton with the jab, keeping him at the end of it for, 150 seconds. And Norton comes on strong the last 30 seconds, but I can't give him the round. So I score that one, an extremely close one for Ali. So my scorecard at the end of this, they weren't tallying it up. It looks like on the 10-9 system, but I would have had it 144-141 to Norton. That's 9 rounds to 6 for Ken Norton. I have 2 extremely close rounds to Ali. So if I was feeling uncharitable towards him, I think the realm of possibility is 9 rounds to 6 Norton, all the way up to 11 rounds to 4 for Norton. And I think it comes down to this. All fight, Norton is the aggressor, and he's not just the aggressor, he's the effective aggressor. He's getting off first every time. He's pushing Ali to the ropes. When he gets him to the ropes, he's throwing that vicious left hook to the body that's clearly hurting Ali. And I think the real exception here is the 9th and the 15th. And that's when Ali dances. That's when Ali throws the jab. And that's when we get shades of prime Ali. And that's when we get shades of how this fight could have been different if Ali had put a little more into it, if his movement was quite where it was in his prime, even if it was quite where it was a couple years earlier. But it just wasn't there. So in my book, Ali didn't clearly win a single round. He won a lot of rounds close. He didn't win any of them clear. It's a sluggish fight for him. You could tell he's already showing signs of slowing down. At this point, he doesn't look like the guy who had beat Foreman 2 years earlier. Well, in the sense of laying on the ropes for large portions of the fight, he does look like that guy. But when it's time to get off, when it's winning time, he just isn't able to get off. And Norton's work rate, like I said before, it's just he's throwing so many punches. It's kryptonite for the aging Ali. And it's a close but clear decision. I don't see, so in that sense, I would label this fight a robbery. It's close. It's you don't want to call it a robbery because you can see how someone in good faith would get to 8 rounds. You know, the great Harold Letterman scored it 8 rounds to 7 for Ali, but Norton gets the better of most of these rounds. And even the ones where I scored for Ali, some of them I was tempted to score for Norton. So the scorecards, plausible, not great, bordering on robbery. I'm going back and forth on that. And the only scorecard that I'm really unhappy with, I think, is the referee, Arthur Mercante's scorecard, because he scores it 8 rounds to Ali, 6 rounds to Norton, 1 round even. Giving Norton 6 rounds in this fight it's hard to only find 6 rounds for Norton. And, you know, I work as a amateur boxing referee, and I couldn't imagine, and this is why you can't be too harsh on him. I couldn't imagine having to score some of these rounds where I'm refereeing, where you're looking, especially if it's a rough and tumble, if there's holding and you're looking for infractions and things of that nature. I couldn't imagine trying to score some of these rounds. Some of them would be easy when one guy's the clear winner, but I'm just not a fan of referee scoring fights. You don't see that happen in America these days. Of course, you do see it in the UK. I don't know if that's still allowed in America, but I can't remember the last time. I can't remember ever seeing a referee scoring a fight in my lifetime. I'm not a fan of it. For reasons like this. I think if Arthur Mercante had been sitting ringside watching that, he might have had it a little differently than how he scored it, you know, trying to keep up with infractions, trying to keep up with the holding, you know, trying to take a good look at both fighters and try to score it at the same time. I just don't think it's possible. I'm just not a fan of that practice at all. And I think that's a possible explanation for what I think is a terrible, terrible scorecard. So I scored this one at the end, 9-6 for Norton on a 10-9 must system, 144, 141 to Norton. A sluggish fight for Ali. Norton is the clear winner in my book. Thank you for watching. Please take some time to like and subscribe, and tune in next week when I'm going to score Roy Jones versus Antonio Tarver 1.